You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 204.1, our daily update on high school, college, and professional sports news in Central Indiana, with a little bit of major national sports news, anything that may be of interest to Central Indiana sports fans.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you've chosen to listen to the Central Indiana Sports Report, we thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. Today is March 14, 2025. Guess what day it is? It's a Friday. So it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt. I love Central Indiana sports. Coming to you today from Madison Grant High School. Producer Susie, of course, is in the control room at headquarters in Jeffersonville. Coming up, IU and Purdue played second round games in the Big Ten tournament on Thursday, and Ball State's women are playing for a MAC tournament championship bid and an NCAA tournament invitation. We'll have results from those games, plus lots to look forward to this weekend. But first, our daily reminder, please go to our YouTube page and subscribe. It's been a really good week for subscriptions on YouTube. Increased, I think, every single day. Really appreciate that for all that you have done it. For those of you who have not, please go do it. Just search Central Indiana Sports Report. It is easy to find. Starting this spring, we're hoping to do some more video stuff and some exclusive YouTube things. So you're going to want to be subscribed, even if you are already subscribed at SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple, or Amazon. Also, we have 5 boys basketball regional previews coming out Friday and Saturday. We've already released our Marion Mechaniqua preview with Scott Hunt of the Marion Chronicle. And we had Cade Hampton of the Muncie Star Press on to talk about Delta, Wapahani, Daleville, and Monroe Central. Later Friday, we will release our Liberty Christian preview with Rob Hunt of the Herald Bolton. Also talked a little Daleville. And our Tipton Mechaniqua preview, which was a lot of fun to do last night with Michelle Garman and Grant Schaus, will be out Saturday morning, as will our statewide regional preview. Grant, Michelle, and I picked all 32 regionals. You're going to want to listen to that. You fans will be sweating it out on Sunday when the NCAA tournament brackets are announced at 6 o'clock on CBS. The Hoosiers saw its hopes dwindle a bit with a 72-59 loss to Oregon in the second round of the Big Ten tournament at the Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Oregon will play top seed and 7th-ranked Michigan State at noon Friday in the quarterfinals. That has already begun. On the same side of that bracket, it will be Wisconsin versus UCLA after the Badgers held off Northwestern 60-53. In the other half of the bracket will be Illinois against Maryland after the Illini blew past Iowa 106-94. And in the final game of the day in Friday's quarterfinals, it will be number 20 Purdue against number 22 Michigan at 9. That's because Purdue came from behind to beat USC 76-71 on Thursday. The Boilermakers trailed 56-50 with 12 minutes left and 67-65 with 5 minutes remaining. The comeback was led by Trey Kaufman-Wren, who finished with a career-high 30 points, and by Camden Heide, who had 9 points off the bench, a perfect 3 for 3 from the three-point line, and had a game-high 11 rebounds. The best player in the country, Braden Smith, struggled shooting, but still finished with 12 points and 9 assists. The Boilermakers blew out Michigan 91-64 at home on January 24th. The Wolverines then exacted revenge at Chrysler Arena by beating Purdue in a thriller 75-73 to start a Purdue 4-game losing streak. Purdue coach Matt Painter said the rubber match against Michigan Friday night will be a nice late-season test.
Obviously, they're well coached. They have a physical front line that's very unique because both of them are very skilled. Like a lot of times you'll have guys of that size that are low post players or can make threes, but they can't drive it. Like both of those guys can drive the basketball, can post the basketball, can pass. I think that's where it starts with. I think Trey Donaldson's one of the most underappreciated guards. I think he's very talented. He can score. I haven't watched him a lot since we played that second time because you just kind of move to your opponents, right? But he just always seems to make plays late in games. Even if it's one of those games where he has like 8 to 12, he still makes plays at the end of the game. But they got a lot of good pieces. They got good young guards, a couple of those guys that come off the bench for them that, sometimes they play, sometimes they don't play as much. But those guys are talented and good players. And they just got a good mix. Obviously, they didn't have a good finish like we didn't have a good finish. And, we've all had good finishes and then not play well in the tournament. And then you look at it and you'd rather play well in the tournament, right? So, sometimes that can wake you up a little bit and help you. Sometimes it's not a factor, and so, they're trying to find their way just like we're trying to find our way, at the end of the year. And we put ourselves in a position to win the game at their place, and they played better than we did the last 5 minutes. No different than the Illinois game. We really played well leading up to the last 5 minutes, and then Illinois just played better than we did. And, you just want to be able to finish off games and do better. That's why it's such a good sign for tonight, that we didn't play that well leading up to there, but we still were able to find a way. But no.
Seriously, no coach in the country does press conferences better than Matt Painter. Just so honest and genuine, really refreshing. We don't usually do Fridays games on Fridays, but since the game started at 10 a.m., I can tell you the Ball State's women are in the MAC championship game after blowing out Kent 70-53 in Friday's semifinals. Lachelle Austin led 4 Cardinals in double figures with 21 points. The Cardinals will play either 2-seed Buffalo or 3-seed Toledo in Saturday's MAC championship at 11 a.m. The game can be seen on CBS Sports Network. Some other Ball State news. The men's volleyball team was swept by number 3 Hawaii, 25-19, 25-13, and 29-27 at the Outrigger tournament overnight in Honolulu. The consolation prizes there in Honolulu. Patrick Rogers led the Cardinals with 11 kills, and Lucas Machado had 25 assists in the loss. The Cardinals are now 13-7. Ball State baseball coach Rich Maloney earned his 1,000th career win in the Cardinals' 13-10 win over Purdue Fort Wayne on Tuesday. Ball State named Andy Stoops its new soccer coach. He had been an associate head coach at Missouri the past 4 seasons. He's also been an assistant at Troy, East Tennessee, Belmont, and Samford. Ball State's Jamari Hill was named All-MAC Honorable Mention Wednesday. And IUK sophomore Sydney Duncan, a former Frankton Eagle, was named USA Track and Field National Women's NAIA Indoor Field Athlete of the Year on Wednesday. In some local high school news, Pendleton sophomore Ada Hupfer earned a spot on the Indiana All-Star Futures Game team, and Alexandria senior Jacqueline Hosier was named Class 2A MVP by Prep Girls Hoops Indiana. We have a huge weekend ahead of us, including on Friday, coming off a huge national television win over Milwaukee in dramatic fashion on Wednesday. The 36-28 Pacers take on the hapless Philadelphia 76ers at 7. Former Sixer TJ McConnell said he loves facing his old team, but is more than happy to be in Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, I'm appreciative of my time there, but, me and my family have really settled down here and created a home. So obviously very appreciative, but and it's always nice to go back, but love where I'm at.
Have to do it. MCCONNELL McConnell. Just love that guy. Along with the Big Ten, which continues in Indianapolis on Friday, there are tons of big college basketball tournament games. No championship games, however. Most of those are on Saturday. The one we know the opponents will be Maine and Bryant for the American East. The rest of the championship matchups will be determined in Friday's semifinals for Saturday's finals. That's in the Mountain West, the Big 12, the Big East, the MAC, the Mid-Atlantic, Conference USA, the Southwest, the Big West, and the WAC. Indiana Wesleyan's men's and women's basketball teams open NAIA tournament play in Marion Friday. The Wildcat men open at 3 p.m. against Madonna. The Wildcat women face Philander Smith at 5:30. The men's regional championship is scheduled for 3, and the women's regional championship is scheduled for 5 Saturday. Indiana Wesleyan is expected to have both teams in the regional championships. And both, of course, are scheduled for Lucky Arena on the campus of Indiana Wesleyan. All of our local college baseball teams are in action Friday. Taylor is 17-4, 8-0 in the Crossroads, and goes to Spring Arbor for a doubleheader at 3 and 6 on Friday. Of course, all of these series continue over the weekend. Indiana Wesleyan baseball is 10-5 overall, 6-2 in the Crossroads. They have a big series at St. Francis in Fort Wayne. St. Francis is 8-11, also 6-2 in the conference. That is a doubleheader that starts at 1. IUK baseball is at Oakland City. IUK is 5-17, 1-5 in the River States. Oakland City is 14-9 and 3-0. That game starts at 4. Ball State, IU, and Purdue are all at home. Ball State is 12-5, 3-0 in the MAC, and hosts Toledo, which is 5-10, 1-2 in the conference. That game starts at 3 Friday. Purdue is 15-2 and hosts 3-13 UIC at 4. And IU is 8-9 and hosts Ohio State, which is 5-9 at 6 o'clock. That is the Big Ten opener for both teams. All of our college softball teams are in action Friday except for IU, which kicks off Big Ten play Saturday and Sunday with a couple of doubleheaders against Iowa. Indiana Wesleyan is 10-2 and goes to Taylor for a big one. Taylor is 11-3. Both teams are 2-0 in the Crossroads. That doubleheader starts at 4. Anderson softball is 2-2 and faces Greenville and John Carroll at John Carroll. The game against Greenville started at 10 a.m. The game against host John Carroll is at 2:30. Ball State softball goes to Akron. The Cardinals are 13-6. Akron is 12-11. It is the MAC opener for both teams. That one is scheduled for 3 o'clock. And Purdue softball is 15-9 and starts its Big Ten play at UCLA starting Friday. The NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships are being held Friday and Saturday in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Ball State Janelle Rogers will compete for a pentathlon national championship. We'll keep an eye on her for you. On Saturday, we have 6 local boys basketball teams competing in the IHSA regionals and 7 regional teams. In Class A, 17-8 and defending regional champion Liberty Christian faces 14-13 North Decatur at 1 in Greenfield. And also in Class A at famed Newcastle Chrysler Arena, it'll be Daleville versus Monroe Central in a Mid-Eastern Conference showdown. At Frankfort, number 3 Clinton Prairie faces Lafayette Central Catholic. The Gophers are the highest ranked team in the north of the Class A field. In Class 2A, it'll be 19-6 Tipton against number 4 Manchester at Logansport at 4. And number 1 Wapahani, the defending semi-state champions, are at Lapel at 4 o'clock to face 11-14 Western Boone. 14-11 Marion and 20-5 Maconaquah meet at 7 at Lapel in the single game 3A regional. Also in 3A, 16-7 and defending regional champion Delta will battle number 7 Blackhawk Christian, which has moved up from Class A to 2A to 3A because of their success in the past. That game is scheduled for 7, also at Chrysler Arena in Newcastle. The best game of the weekend, maybe, is in the south of the Class 3A region, where number 3 New Pal and star Julius Jeezy takes on number 5 Garin Catholic and star Bryson Cardinal. We have no local teams left in 4A. However, regionally, Fishers is number 1 in the country. They've won 40 straight games. They face 19-6 Harrison at 7 at Frankfort and 20-5 Mount Vernon, which upset Anderson and Greenfield Central, number 2 and number 5 in the state, to win the sectional. Faces 13-12 Brownsburg, which upset Avon and Ben Davis in their sectional. That game is scheduled for 1 o'clock at Southport. Also, Northwestern's gymnastics team is headed to state at Ball State University for the first time in program history. They're led by senior Taylor Schmidt, who will compete in the all-around as well. Crown Point is the defending state champion. The event at Worthen Arena begins at 11:30. And now you know everything we know about Central Indiana sports. Thank you so much for listening. If you're interested in seeing us continue to thrive and grow, please share this podcast with your friends and family. We thank you as always. Boop-a-doo-doo-boop-boo. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.